happens when fear becomes your home and healing feels like the scariest part of all. I'm your host, Saima, and today on Soul Sparks, we welcome Andrew Wilson, a former oil and gas worker who transformed his pain into profound purpose. Now, a trauma informed coach and quantum healing practitioner, Andrew helps people peel back the layers of blame, fear, and conditioning to reclaim the soul's peace. So, if you have ever felt stuck in your story, this conversation might just be your turning point. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Saima.
You're warmly welcome. I'm glad to have you here. So, Andrew, let's start with the word like ownership. I'm really curious to know what did that look like for you when you finally stopped blaming and started becoming?
Well, I realized that a lot of my trauma was my own doing because I don't know if you're familiar with past lives or not, but I realized in a past life I had done some things that weren't incredibly nice to people. And in this life, I was supposed to learn compassion. So therefore, I had to receive the abuse and the bullying that I received. But I realized that it was supposed to teach me that, but instead it taught me to be a victim and to have self-absorbed, to have anxiety, to have depression. But we often don't
Mm-hmm.
see this because we're not taught this. Like we're not taught how to heal. We're not taught how to even breathe, even. Like I've learned that we've been breathing improperly, even. And when it comes to that moment where you're almost going through the worst feeling of your life, the one thing that stopped me was something inside of me said, okay, this is enough. Like we've done this for too long. And you'll always have that inner voice inside of you telling you to not be reactive, not be the victim, instead to take ownership and responsibility for what you've done and what is the lesson behind it and what opportunity now arose from this. Like, I don't resent any of my trauma at all because I never would have been able to start a podcast. I never would have been able to write a book. I never would have been able to start quantum healing or my fear coaching. So when you take back your power, you are no longer powerless and you are no longer a victim. You're the hero in your own story.
Mm-hmm. That completely makes sense. I really appreciate the way like you broke that down, not just as an idea, but as something real and lived. Like so often we hear words like ownership or accountability, but tossed around us as buzzwords. But what you have shared really gets to the heart of what they actually mean in practice, Andrew.
Yeah, well, it comes with work. Like I constantly, day in, day out, I do shadow work because I have to bring with all the junk that I brought into my body and remove it. And that's what I've been doing breath work. That's why I've been doing meditation. You find some form of self-care that works for you and hold on to it, whatever brings you joy. And for people to like really stay in a positive mindset, start something with gratitude. Take 2 hours each part of your day and focus on gratitude and just be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for being able to breathe, being able to walk, having a nice home, having clean water to
Mhm.
drink, having food to eat. Like it's that part that kind of takes you out of that victim mentality and brings you into a conscious mentality instead of an unconscious mentality.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Now, like you mentioned that fear becoming your normal. Uh, so, how did it manifest in your relationships and career before you woke up?
It came in because at the age of 5, see, at 2 years old, I didn't worry. I had music on. My mother would always tell me I would dance and everything, so I thought that was cute. But then at the age of 5, that's when I started becoming anxious. That's when the fear started coming in. But at a young age, we don't see this, right? We just don't. We kind of ignore it because we're unconscious. because we're young. We want to play and everything. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
think about as we grow up either that we are doing things that basically we programmed into our mind ourselves just by the environments we've been around, by the people we've been near, by the stuff we watched on television, by the music we've listened to. Like you got to be careful. It'll just create something. Like I was getting massage there a while back, and the person was in a very angry, resentful mood that day, and I had to be very careful on how I listened to that individual speak, because your words are like spells, and our body's like water. So your body gets affected by words. So I had to basically let the man vent. But I realized if this is bothering me, then there's something still toxic inside of me that I need to remove. And when something bothers you, you kind of so what I do now is I pause. I ask myself, why am I feeling this way? What memory is this surfacing from? And how can I overcome it? But we don't take that moment to just pause when we're feeling this way. We just react or we don't say anything. Because of that, that's when we develop the illnesses, the diseases, the discomfort, the aches, the pains, all of that, because our body is saying, you need to let this out. So with the fear, it took me a long time to really get over that. It was when my mother transitioned from this planet, and it brought me to my knees, and I was so angry at the world. I was angry at God. I was angry at my significant other. I was angry at myself for how me and my mother ended our relationship before she transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to holistic healing, and I read this book by Dolores Cannon, Between Death and Life. And that was the eye opener that death is not something to fear. In fact, it is something to embrace and is part of the process. And once I started going down that path, I realized that fear is an illusion. It's false evidence appearing real. And we create it just by our thoughts, like I said, environments, the people we're around. We make that memory in our head, and we put it in our head over and over and over again. And when you take ownership of that fear no longer controls you. So my biggest takeaway from on this journey is to own everything that happens to you, because it's for your good and it's going to make you the person you were meant to be.
Mm-hmm. It's really, incredibly powerful, Andrew. Like to hear that how you describe fear, like becomes such a familiar companion. And I think like so many people can relate to that experience where fear doesn't always show up as a panic or obvious anxiety, but that small voice that keeps us playing small in relationships or settling in our work. And I really love that how you said that taking ownership.
Yeah, no, totally. It's just part of how you take your power back, and how you're no longer the victim. You're the hero. You're the savior of yourself. You're not the savior of
Mm-hmm.
others. Because when you work within yourself, then others start to see what you're doing, and they want to attract to you. They want to know how you're doing it. And you're so passionate about healing that they become passionate about healing. And it spreads like a magnet. Basically, you attract more people, and then more people want healing. It's amazing how just by working with ourselves that we are around people now that used to bother us, and now no longer bothers us, because there's nothing inside of us left for it to bother.
Mm-hmm. That completely makes sense, Andrew. Now, let's talk about subconscious programming. So, can you share that? How do we start identifying the invisible scripts we have been living by?
It's by listening to guided meditations or getting into journaling, even like asking yourself questions like, why am I feeling this way? What memories is surfacing from? How can I overcome it? You can also ask yourself questions, and you'll be amazed with if you just let yourself sit with that thought and not think about anything. Just empty your mind and let the first thought come to your head. then write it down. You'll get the answer you seek. And rewiring is about basically listening to something over and over again. You've said it for years over and over again. So how is it any different from listening to record yourself saying what you want to hear to yourself? Say that you're worthy, say that you're powerful, say that you are abundant, say that you are loved over and over again. And you start to see it even by like taking others' advices. Like Samuel Lee came up with an idea of playing a love song and saying, I love you 5 times until that love song was over. And to do that every day, you start to love yourself internally and physically. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you rewire.
That's such a great point, Andrew. Like, journaling really is one of the most powerful tools for this kind of inner work. And it's so true that, when we put pen to paper, something really shifts and we start to see patterns we weren't aware of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but again, we weren't taught this. We had to learn this through trial and tribulation, but we didn't learn it because we were caught up in the unconscious thoughts of depression, anxiety, fear, like, and that overpowered us. And instead of dealing with it, we self medicate ourselves. And it's unfortunate because it blocks your clarity, it makes you all foggy, and it doesn't give you the answers you seek.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, what would you like to say to someone, listening who feels that silent suffering but doesn't know where to begin?
I'd say sit with your thoughts and your emotions. Ask yourself why you're feeling this. What memory is this surfacing from? Go to that memory, reverse that memory that you've had, or embrace that memory and see where you would be if you hadn't had that happen to you. Because I've learned is if I hadn't had my trauma, where would I have been? What would I be doing?
Mm-hmm. I think that really hits home for a lot of folks, and I personally feel that it's okay to outgrow the life that once looked like a dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about being accountable with your thoughts and your feelings. And like I said, when you start that healing within you, no one can hurt you anymore. No one can make you feel the way you felt because you no longer feel it because you no longer resent yourself or resent others. And when you stop judging others and you judge yourself and you look within yourself and what's wrong with you, and you realize that there's nothing wrong with you and that you had created this illusion in your head for so many years, people no longer have power over you and you have full power and control with whatever you want to do in your path in life. And you can go anywhere, you can be anyone you want to be, and there's nothing holding you back because you are free. You are strong, pure, whole. You are free.
Mm-hmm. Yes, could not agree more. Now that Andrew, you're on the other side of fear, so what does peace feel like for you today?
It's interesting, being around people who are still sleeping and like it's a hard thing when you awaken to go through all of this because a lot of us don't know how to deal with chaos. They don't know how to deal with confusion. And it was for me, I'm still learning it every day. Like it's never ending. You have to stay working. If you steer off course, you have to remind yourself that you've come so far. So continue to work, do the shadow work, do the meditation, do the breath work, whatever's your form of self care, continue to do it. Continue to remind yourself your reason for your purpose on earth, your compassion, your love, and just to focus on being in that moment and not surrendering to other people's environments, not surrendering to the toxicity, the negative energy that surrounds people, and to instead heal those people that are around you just by how you speak, how you act, and be that mentor, be that role model that you were meant to be.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great way to put it, Andrew. Like the peace. sound not like perfection, how you describe it, but like presence, something steady and real, even in life's ups and downs, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you, like I said, once you do the work within yourself, there's nothing that can break you from peace. The only person that can break you from peace is you. And
Mm-hmm.
you are the one that controls everything that happens to you. Yes, things happen that you can't control in life, but you can control how you react, how you feel, how you respond. And
Yes.
when you understand that part of you, then you have all the power in the world to make mountains move.
Absolutely. And now, like, how do you protect it, especially in a world that loves to pull us back into chaos, you know?
I remind myself why I'm here. I remind myself how far I've come. I constantly meditate. I constantly do things that keep me on a conscious level, keep me in a high vibration. I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through in my life. I'm grateful for the people around me that have done things to push me on this path. And I'm grateful for the people that stuck by me during this journey the entire time that I was not conscious of my thoughts and spoke poorly of people and treated individuals me like poorly as well. So I'm grateful for all of it. And the reason that I stay on that keeps me on this path is because it's gratitude. Gratitude is the one thing that is, and forgiveness. Like I forgave myself. I forgave those. I even forgave their energies. It's about letting go and just surrendering to the universe and God and just letting God steer you the way he was meant to show you the way. Like I said, like I don't know if I ever said it on this show yet, but like Earth is a school. We are here to learn. I am a soul having a human experience, not a human having a soul experience. I'm a soul having a human experience. I'm here to learn, to be compassionate with others, to show others love and consideration. Not not here for money, not here for power. I'm here to show compassion and love. That's my purpose in this life. And who knows what my purpose will be in the next life, but that's what keeps me away from being sucked into the other version that I was before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love how you have met like protecting your peace and intentional part of your life, especially like in a world that, constantly demands the attention and energy. It's like such an important reminder that peace isn't just found, it's maintained with care, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, it comes with work. And people aren't aware of this because they weren't taught this. Like I had to learn this all on my own. And a lot of us don't know how to learn because we've been surrounded by people who have been basically educating us in the wrong way. And we've been manipulated into thinking that we need to compete with one another. We need to stay in this state of lack. We have to go to work. We have to work out. We have to eat this healthy food. No, no. You get to go to work. You get to have this healthy food. When you change your wording, it changes your vibration, it changes your frequency. And it's just by that little tweak, just a couple little tweaks in your wording, you start to see all the positivity in the frequency of love around you, and it surrounds you, and then it goes to other people. And some people might be reactive towards you, but that's because you are the mirror and they see what they want to be, and yet they haven't gone to that part of themselves yet, but they will. It just takes time. I mean, we're all on our journey. We're all doing this, going through the same thing. And we have that in common. We are all energetically connected. So we have all gone through trauma. And there's people that are still going through it. And that's a part of their life. And what I've learned to is respect people. No matter who they are, no matter what they've done, everybody's hurting. And I don't judge anyone. I send love to every individual, no matter what you've done, you are still loved by God, even like God even will not shun you for what you've done because you're learning. You're having the experience. And now you understand what you've done is it's your responsibility now to change that course of that history that you've created and to create the new version, a much better version of you.
That's surely gonna be beneficial for all our listeners out there, Andrew. And like I'm wondering that when like life gets chaotic or overwhelming, what's the first sign you notice in yourself that tells you, that now it's time to like slow down and reset?
Well, you get into those moments where you're starting to get annoyed, you're getting reactive, like red lights, for instance. Red lights used to bother me when I would get stopped at a red light. Now it's like, oh, okay, well, what is the universe doing now? It gives me more time to think. Or maybe there's a good podcast that I'm listening to. So, oh man, it's giving me more time to listen to the podcast. It's when you take yourself out of that victim mentality, like poor me. Oh, I'm going to be late for work. No, the reason you're late for work is because you manifested it. You told yourself you were going to be late for work. So therefore you got every red light. And no matter how much you think that the universe is against you, it's not. In fact, it's giving you time. It's giving you moments where you can have these moments of clarity, where you can have these moments of peace even. So when I stopped and thought about that, that's when I realized, okay, so this used to bother me.
Mhm.
Now I take it as a moment's peace or a chance to listen to a podcast even longer. It's about rewording, rethinking, like instead of how is this hurting me? What is this teaching me? Um, I got let go of my job today. Okay. So what am I supposed to do now? Or what instead, what path is this taking me down now? What opportunity will I have? It's about rewording. It's really interesting. It's almost like it's a science, like it's quantum physics. And you shift when you start to think that way. You shift when you start to reword yourself. You even rewire yourself. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So I continuously pause whenever something starts to bother me. And then I think, why is this bothering me? And then I go to like a part of me and say, what this is surfacing and how can I overcome it? And I just
Mhm.
keep practicing. It's constant practice and constant reminders. And a lot of us don't like to do that. And I'm fully like taking accountability. I didn't like to do it either, but now I love it because it keeps me keeps me as a loving person. And it whenever people that are trying to suck me into that reality that they're in, I have a way of guiding it in a way that helps them and helps me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Andrew, like it's such a practical way to protect your peace in real time. Like, not just after the damage is done. Thanks for being so real about that.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Like I want to see people understand that they can do anything they want if they put their mind to it, especially healing
Mhm.
themselves. They are powerful, infinite beings. And the more people know this, the stronger they'll be.
Absolutely. So, listeners, peace doesn't come when life gets quiet, it arrives when we do. And Andrew reminded us that the journey inward, while messy, is the one that sets us free. So, if you have been holding a breath through life, this is an invitation to excel. Thanks for joining us on Soul Sparks with Saima. Until next time, take ownership not out of blame, but out of love for who you are becoming.